Once again, good day. This is your teacher Danny of Paliparan 3 Senior High School. Today we'll discuss the human person's freedom. The first question is, what is freedom? Freedom or liberty is a social and political concept which has great significance in how people participate in society. Freedom emerged as an important philosophical issue in 18th century in Europe during the Age of Enlightenment. Intellectuals ponder on the origins of society and the state and the nature of human freedom. During the time, Enlightenment thinkers believed that early man existed in a natural state and had absolute freedom. However, the establishment of societies required people to surrender some of their freedoms in order to live in harmony with others and ensure the survival of society. For them, in establishing society, people entered into a social contract which defined the freedoms that they will be enjoying as members of the society and the state. Freedom in a political and social context means the freedom of an individual from oppression, compulsion, or coercion from other persons, an authority figure, or from society itself. There are two types of political freedom or liberty. The first is positive liberty. It refers to a person taking control of his or her own life and fulfilling one's potential. The other one is the negative liberty. It is a freedom from external restraints, barriers, and other inferences from other people. Example is the freedom of information. For freedom, we have the so-called liberalism. Liberalism upholds the preservation of individuals' rights and stresses the role of the government in protecting civil liberties. They believes that individual, not the government, is the best judge in upholding and exercising rights. This is one of the examples in conducting rally on the street. For socialism, socialism considers freedom as the freedom to acquire economic responses and the ability to work and act according to one's desire. We have two types of rights, the person's rights. One is the natural rights, the second is the legal rights. This picture shows the rights of a person, the rights to rally, to express their desire. For natural rights, it refers to rights which are innate in a person, such as the right to life, and the legal rights are rights that are based on society's customs and laws and are enacted by legislation and enforced by a government. For the religion, we have the theological views. It defines freedom as freedom from sin and living a life of righteousness. And for Christians, defines freedom in the context of living in accordance with the will of God. The first question is, what makes us free? How does freedom shape our experiences? For human agency, it refers to the capacity of a person to act and exert control over his or her behavior. For free will, which is the capacity to choose from alternative courses of action or decision. For free action, the freedom to perform an action without any obstacles or hindrances. Another one, we have the different models. First is the faculties model. It refers to the free will as the use of our mental faculties. It assumes that we have free will due to intellect and that its human action is based on rationality and sound judgment. For example, a student deciding to participate actively in class to improve his or her grades indicates that he or she uses judgment to implement an action, thus exercising free will. Another model is the hierarchical model, argues that free will is based on human wants and desire. For that, we have the wants and desire. Desire is a person's exercises free will when he identifies one's desire as acceptable and decide to act on it. For example, a newly graduated high school student who decides to pursue their engineering or medicine in college is exercising free will. Should he choose medicine, he must want to become a doctor. For reasons responsive view believes that man has free will because he is able to entertain reasons, not to enact a certain decision and act upon them when the need arises. Example, a person decides to cross the street but sees a car rapidly approaching. He or she exercises free will by choosing not to cross the street and allow the speeding car to pass. The question is, what can prevent us from exercising our freedom? Constraints on free action include external obstacles, such as prohibitions, laws, and social controls. External factors that may restrict free actions includes weather, accidents, and poverty. Constraints on free will includes certain methods that cloud a person's judgment, such as manipulation and brainstorming. In determinism, it is a philosophical view that believes that every event in the world is brought about by underlying causes or factors. If a man is indeed free, how can he exercise his free will in action in the world where events are already determined by outside forces? Free will and determinism. Free will being exercised in a deterministic scenario is how people deal with things that are outside their control. We have five factors to consider: influence in society, socioeconomic situation, culture, people, and community. For Marxist philosophy, believes that society imposes certain controls on people and that a person's social group largely influences how he thinks or acts. How can we effectively exercise freedom in our life? First, we have the moral responsibility. Refers to a person's status of deserving praise and reward, or blame and punishment for an action. In Christian doctrines, establishes that all good moral actions will result in rewards such as blessing and salvation, while evil deeds merit punishment both in this world and in the afterlife. In dealing the freedom of the human person, we have a lot of questions regarding our feelings or even in the future. Like, do you believe in destiny? Or do you believe in tadhana or that thing called tadhana? Or even in the Greek mythology? You cannot escape your fate. And the question is, are we free? We have two types of freedom. First, circumstantial liberty, to accomplish an action without interference from obstacle, like choosing a type of coffee or a kind of coffee to drink. The second one is the metaphysical, the power to choose among genuine alternatives. Genuine alternatives acting independently of prior causal factors, like choosing a coffee shop. In the principle of alternative possibilities, states that an action is free only if the agent, that is, the person doing the thing, could have done otherwise. A person is morally responsible for what he has done only if he could done otherwise. For moral responsibility, it is the status of morally deserving praise, blame, reward, or punishment for an act or omission in accordance with one's moral obligations. We have a debate for freedom. Number one, are we determined? The second one is, if we are determined, then we lack the freedom necessary to the morally responsible. Number three, do we have the freedom necessary to be morally responsible? We have different views on freedom and moral responsibility. First is liberalism, second is hard determinism, and the third is compatibilism. For liberalism, the belief that human actions are freely chosen. In other words, we do have metaphysical freedom, we are morally responsible. In hard determinism, it is the belief that events that caused by past events, such that nothing other than what does occur could occur. In other words, on metaphysical determinism, it is a view or free will which holds that determinism is true, that it is incompatible, that free will, and therefore that free will does not exist. According to Baron de Holbach, we are all just cogs in a machine doing what we were always meant to do, with no actual volition. For compatibilism is the belief that free will and determinism are mutually compatible, and that it is possible to believe in both without being logically inconsistent. Compatibilists believe freedom can be present or absent in situations or reasons that have nothing to do with metaphysics. We are determined that we have morally responsibility. Circumstantial freedom is all we need to be morally responsible. Thank you and God bless us all. See you next week.